Now it's time for gloom!
Not the Maharaja.
This is a distraction.
From what?
From the escape. The Maharaja's been kidnapped.
What?
And all of you are suspects.
We're not going to be invited anywhere ever again.
Man, 60 Minutes got weird.
Welcome to Cordkillers, the show about watching the stuff you love when you want, where you want, however you want. I, however, am Tom Merritt.
However
you want.
Well,
however, am Tom Merritt.
Isn't that a little bit like saying you're actually a good bartender?
You're giving me notes immediately off the top of the show?
Yeah, no, it's called a side bit to engage everybody right now.
Also, that my reaction was also a side bit to engage everybody.
Okay, you know what? Let's go full meta. No, you know what? Let's not go full meta. Bryce, that
full
trailer.
Meta
If I were to guess, and Tom, I suspect we're on equal footing here. Is it like a meta commentary? Is that actually from India or a meta about Indian movies or what?
So that was a trailer for Netflix's Murder Mystery 2. This is actually started streaming last week. This is a sequel to the Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston film from a year or so ago. It's about a normal married couple who go on this big vacation and they end up being in the middle of this murder mystery. And this is the sequel to that. So it follows one of the guys from the first movie. It takes place in India because there's a big Indian wedding. And then someone dies. I watched the first one of these last week because Netflix was promoting it because, they got this new one coming out. And I got to say, I really liked it. Adam Sandler still got it. Jennifer Aniston is perfect family actress. It's pretty solid. And I'm kind of looking forward to this new one. I mean, Adam Sandler, he's still hitting hits.
It's an interesting test of whether Murder Mystery 1 was simply because people were starved for entertainment in 2022, or if it's got legs. Sounds like for Bryce, it's got legs. It's his easy top.
Leg watch. That's streaming now.
Hey, who loves Bill Meeks? Bill Meeks,
everybody.
I love Bill
Meeks.
You know, Brian, you could have used for the segue legs because I'm known for my voluptuous calves. So
yeah, that's a good point. Everybody knows about Bill Meeks' calves, and that's
title of the episode. Here we go,
and that's what's going to walk us right over to the primary target. Big changes afoot at Marvel. In the 1990s, Marvel was bankrupt. You may recall. It was bought by a toy company, Toy Biz, a company run by Ike Perlmutter and Avi Brad. Perlmutter stuck around when Disney bought Marvel from him and Brad in 2009 for $4 billion, approximately the gross receipts for one Avengers movie. Perlmutter ran Marvel within Disney until 2015, when Marvel Studios was split out, a fortuitous decision, I think we would all agree. That left Perlmutter still running Marvel Comics and merchandise. Well, that era's over as well. Last week, Disney laid off Perlmutter as chairman of Marvel Entertainment, and Marvel Entertainment president Dan Buckley will now report to Marvel Studios chief Kevin Feige. So the student has become the master, Brian.
I can't speak for what was going on behind the scenes at anything from Disney or Marvel or what have you, but man, oh man, can I speak from the perspective of somebody who fell deeply in love with the Marvel universe when I got, of all things, chickenpox in 8th grade. I just told my mom, bring me comic books. She grabbed whatever happened to be there, discovered Iron Man, followed everything from then. As everybody knows, there's been, it was a dark, very dour, down moment when Marvel appeared to be dead. It was a cool moment when Marvel appeared to be on the rise. It was a very, very good moment when Marvel was winning at everything. It's a weird moment now, as I've not even seen most of the last 5 or 6 Marvel movies. Bill, where are you at on this journey?
I was kind of nonplussed, starting with like Guardians, which I know is a pretty unpopular opinion. Kind of fell out of love with it, kind of fell off of it, got back into it with the Disney Plus series, but I haven't really gone back to the movies yet because I keep hearing, Eternals, even Quantumania that's out now. They're just kind of overstuffed and uneven. A lot of the fans are even saying. So this sounds to me like Disney is realizing there's this perception too, and they need to make a kind of a major change behind the scenes that doesn't involve Kevin, to kind of hopefully right.
Yeah. Although I feel like, and maybe I'm just not close enough to the game, that comics and I guess merch, but I'm thinking more of the comics themselves. Marvel Comics has been doing fine, separated from Marvel Studios. And in fact, I feel like it could be argued that's a strength, that Marvel Comics and Marvel Studios aren't trying to feed the same beast. So they have some latitude to move. This, if that is an advantage, takes that advantage away, because Buckley is now reporting to Feige. And even if they both have the best of intentions to stay independent, when you're reporting to somebody, there's just more chance for concerns to weigh more directly than they would otherwise. And I don't know that this makes the problem worse with Marvel Studios. Problem being a much bigger word than I mean it for, but how does Marvel Studios keep its films fresh and exciting and bring people back in? I don't know that having more control over Marvel Comics helps that.
So, Perlmutter is 100% out. Like
he's been laid off.
His departure. So, restated everything you just told me, would I be right in saying Perlmutter was the entire second act of Marvel? If the first act is plucky upstart, first act, then Empire Strikes Back happens. He's the one that shepherds the return to greatness, and it sounds like I suspected quite well in the sales of Marvel to Disney.
He's the Lando Calrissian of that second act.
Oh my God, works every time.
So the question is, which Return of the Jedi are we getting here as we head into Act 3?
Nobody knows. It's provocative. I guess our role is to sort of reflect on. Here's my question to the panel, and Bryce, I'm going to loop you in on this. Are we at the end of capital T, capital M, capital S, the Marvel story? Is from here on out, is it kind of just squeezing and hopefully somebody who, is really drawn to a particular story makes something out of it, or has everything been preamble leading to this moment where all of a sudden everything is unfettered?
I'll start. There was a time when any medium, technology, franchise was new. There was a time when Star Trek was this weird NBC show that it was nothing like anything anyone had ever done before. Even though it was sci-fi, it was different than the previous sci-fi with their aluminum wrapped robots and aliens with little antenna. And then it was gone. And it was a legend. It was a myth. And it came back. And then it became a franchise. And now it's de rigueur. It's not, Star Trek, is Star Trek over? It's like, where is Star Trek in its long history? I feel like Marvel Studios is there. It is no longer new and fascinating and fun. It is no longer a thing that no one thought could happen. Great superhero franchises that are interrelated. It's a commodity. It's a thing that exists. And the question is always like, where is it in its story? Is it on the rise? Is it declining? And I don't think it's done or and I also don't think it's permanently great. It's now a thing that's been around long enough that it's going to have its ups and downs.
Bryce, of the four of us, you're the one who I would say your orbit is the most peripheral to Like you
Sure,
have
I
the
don't-
least amount of baggage with Marvel.
Yeah.
What does this moment look like to you?
It feels very unessential. It feels like it feels like we're in the weeds a little bit. We're seeing details. We're getting new heroes that are not the ones that you know and love. So we kind of have to figure out which ones people like. And maybe that means we make a movie with 11 new people in it. Maybe we make a new Ant-Man, but right now it feels like all of the big heavy hitters are gone because they had to kind of wipe everyone away after.
Now I just want to see Ant-Man as a cyborg, where it's like, I died as Ant-Man, but I am reborn as Cyber Ant-Man.
That's an idea. You know, we'll talk about it, but there is something weird. We'll talk about it in a trailer coming up. But I saw a superhero trailer over the week that I thought looked really cool. And it doesn't seem any different than the other Marvel stuff I'm bored of, right? It seems like a well-taught, funny superhero movie, but there's so many of those now that either I need something to be conceptual or I need it to feel very different.
Well, that's my point. Is like they no longer can ride on. No one's ever done this before because they've done it over and over, lots of times. That's harder to innovate on. Bill, what about you?
And I think for the past, decade and a half, whatever it's been, they've been working through their greatest hits. They've been doing Secret War, Civil War, all the wars. And now they're having to tap into more recent stories that, haven't been tested by time. Like Secret Invasion is a good example. I think that came out 6 or 8 years ago, something like that. Great story, did great for Marvel at the time, but it's not something they've necessarily gone back to. And I think, like I said, they've worked through so many of their greatest stories that now they're having to take chances on these more recent hits that might not translate to a general audience as well.
Well, Brian, one way to avoid. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to agree, like both on a personal and writ large level. Like, nobody knows.
Like any long-term franchise, though, Marvel needs to keep people supporting it.
Yeah.
And
you know what?
Marvel wants like a ton of money out of you to continue to support it. They only need to buy merch and these expensive tickets. Brian and I have been doing this for a decade. We just want $1.
Yeah.
One.
Kind of like comic books back around, I don't know, 1989. 99 cents.
Yeah.
That's not too much. You know what? Inflation. $1 an episode. That's all we ask. That's a phrase I just invented right now.
Yeah.
Come at me, Dan Carlin. Listen, head on over to patreon.com/Cordkillers. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to become part of a community. You're going to feel superior to everyone around you. You know why? Because you're superior to everyone around you. You're going to get early access, exclusive access to our After Talk segments. You're going to keep us loud, live, and independent. And here's the real secret. When somebody asks, were you there from the beginning? You look them in the eye and you say, despite having joined just this week, yes, I've always been there for Cordkillers, and we will back your play. That's a Cordkillers guarantee. Patreon.com/Cordkillers. It's the only way for you to play. Hooray.
Bryce, if there is a Bryce, move us on to how to watch.
Okay.
Why did you question the existence of God just as a random side jag at the end of that?
That was another Carlin illusion.
Ooh.
Oh. No, that does track. Okay.
All right,
If
ready?
you know, you know. Okay.
Ready, bumper,
all right,
go
go
bumper.
ahead. All right.
All right. Netflix, you've changed. You take ads, you're cracking down on account sharing, and now these latest two things, pulling back from releasing a movie a week, says it will combine its small and mid-budget units into one. No word on the big budget unit. I guess that one's okay. And Gadget says Netflix film chief Scott Stuber wants to focus on quality, not quantity. And if that weren't enough, Netflix ordered a pilot, not someone to fly their plane, like a test episode of a TV series, Samar Weaving's Little Sky. Deadline sources say this is not a permanent development shift, It's specific to Little Sky. Deadline says that Netflix, quote, wanted to see a pilot to make sure the tone and the chemistry of the large ensemble were right, setting the project up for success. Brian, that's why anybody does a pilot. Once you get a little taste, you're like, oh, that was helpful. Maybe you start doing more pilots. And the next thing you know, you're just like everybody else, doing pilots, taking ads, only spending money on movies you think are going to turn a profit for you.
I have thoughts. If anybody doesn't want to hear nasty, dirty, filthy, angry Brian thoughts.
Oh, no. Oh,
jump in now, Bill Meeks.
Yeah. Give me a spoon.
Well, I'll just say that, the big thing with tech startups is move fast, break stuff, right? Which Netflix did successfully for a number of years. And I do think it's interesting that now it seems like they're to a place where, the venture capital is running dry and everything, where they're like, wait a second, maybe, the old studios maybe had some things right. And it seems like they're kind of, exploring, doing things the old fashioned way, which is interesting to see an innovator in a space that they basically created the space, sort of thinking, maybe we moved a little too fast and broke a few too many things,
Let me propose the following. There's only so many humans out there. Bold take, I know.
Yeah. We keep making more, but then some of them,
I'm certainly doing my best. Even after my vasectomy, I'm doing my best to try to make more humans.
Where's the breaking news?
but there's only so many humans, and there's only so much market saturation you can achieve. And like a fractal, Netflix is doing a very good job of trying to penetrate as many increasingly tiny niches as possible. If I were an investor in Netflix, I don't believe I am, to my knowledge. If I was a founder of Netflix, controversial hot take, this is the part where I would start phoning it in. And for the next 10 years, I would say whatever it takes at the quarterly meetings in order to keep people invested, but secretly make very little effort, and just now is harvesting, now is profit taking, now it's time to make your money. Again, that's Vulcan mind, evil, Machiavellian.
You're right. Look, everybody makes fun of startups when they're losing money. These crazy startups, they spend all this money and they don't make any money. And the argument that you hear it sometimes, but not as often, is like, yeah, no, you do that to build up to the point where then you can start making money. That's what this looks like when you start doing that. That's what Brian's
Netflix,
describing.
Your arranged marriage with the shareholders. It's now time for you to consummate this and be fruitful and cause profits.
Yeah.
The hard part is I think the interest of consumers for Netflix is in direct opposition to the decisions that Netflix needs to make right now in order to keep their business successful.
Everyone always says that, but is that true?
I don't know. Yeah, like Random
House, the investors want
Random House Books no
Netflix
longer
to
needs
fail.
to be edgy, right?
Yeah.
I would. It's been good. It's been what, 15 years now?
For streaming, and the DVD
you did
thing
it.
goes even before.
It's time for Netflix to go beige. Be beige as hell. Collect all the money. Hooray. Thank you, Netflix.
Do we see Netflix as edgy as an edgy company?
Remember when they did that show with Kevin Spacey?
15 years ago?
They were edgy at one point.
And they were a darling of they're disrupting the industry. They don't play by the rules. So they were edgy in that respect too. They've upended Hollywood. They're buying studios. They're not doing things the way studios do. But the thing is, that always works at the beginning of a disruptive idea. And then once they get to this point that Brian's talking about, they start to realize that helped us grow and do things that gave us an advantage. But once you reach scale, turns out, yeah, there is a good reason you have pilots. Or, yeah, you should, rein in on the spending with the money. And maybe we should try to make, like, you start to see like, oh, these are the reasons that those ideas we disdained aren't bad. And maybe we should take those. Now, what's interesting is which ones of those old ideas do they not do? And those are the ones that are going to distinguish Netflix from the previous era. But this is just a natural part of the cycle, as you so aptly put it, Brian. When the company goes beige.
Well, and to be clear, I'm not wishing this as a consumer of Netflix.
Right.
I'm not hoping that they do this, but as an advisor to Netflix, I don't see many more moves left for them to make to expand territory or to grow or to dive deeper on it. Like, congrats, you won. And so I would say as a consumer, buckle in for Netflix to get very, very boring. If I were Netflix, I would call it across this profitable line we stand. Here, no farther. It's like, that's it. We're done.
And then Paramount sues them for using Picard's line.
What? I don't know what you're talking about. That's
yeah. I'm tempted to make an analogy to ABC and Fox. Most people probably don't realize that ABC was a spinoff of NBC at one point, and it was seen as the junior ridiculous version of NBC for its early part of the history. That was gone by the 70s. Fox, when it started, was like, a fourth network? No one needs a fourth network. It's a bunch of weird stuff. Nobody's going to watch that. And now Fox is probably more known for its news cable program than it is for the network. But the network itself is seen as a perfectly legitimate, respectable network. I feel like this is NetFox.
But before I turn it over to you, Bill, this is the moment. Cordkillers@gmail.com. If there's some other play, imagine that you are the advisor to Netflix. What's left? What's left?
Yeah.
What?
Not just to make us feel better because we missed the edgy, innovative one, but to like that'll make it successful. Yeah. Meeks, you got any last thoughts on Netflix? NetFox?
I'm just going to say that my son is a huge fan of the comic book series Bone, and Netflix has killed the Bone series, and I hate Netflix for that because I have to hear about it. That's it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fatherly concern.
This is how the Titanic went down. It's like we're going to find out that the captain got bit by an iceberg at one point, and he just steered into it.
All right, let's talk about what to watch in Under Surveillance.
Not like real estate. It's all about location.
Under Surveillance.
Speaking of Paramount, Paramount approved new seasons of both Star Trek Strange New Worlds and Star Trek Lower Decks. So the next season of both shows will not be the last. So they approved new seasons before the next seasons begin. Strange New Worlds Season 2 returns June 15th, and Lower Decks will return later this summer. They haven't fixed a date for that quite yet. A crossover episode between the two is planned, so expect Lower Decks to come back before the run of Strange New Worlds is over. That crossover episode will have animation and live action elements and is directed by Jonathan Frakes. Strange New Worlds will get a third season and Lower Decks a fifth season, and Star Trek Prodigy is going to return for season 2 this winter. And Paramount Plus has ordered the Starfleet Academy TV series we've been hearing about. That will start production in 2014, so probably won't see it for a couple of years. Still no word on the pending Section 31 Star Trek.
Tom, I can't.
Well, you can't what?
Well, my heart is encased in steel. I can't open it to the possibility of how good this could be. And yes, Tom, yes, Bill, I hear both of your minds because I'm psychic. Yes, Jonathan Frakes wrote or directed the very best episode of Picard this season. Yes, these are two properties that everybody loves. Yes, it is technically possible to make a cartoon become human and a human become cartoon and have it be totally brilliant, but I dare not hope. I dare not hope. My heart is closed. I am encased in iron. I'm the man in an iron. I'm literally describing the character of Iron Man. I'm Tony Stark.
Tony Stark.
Closed off from the world.
No, good analogy. Meeks?
Oh, I think it's really interesting that, Paramount Plus, well, they have like a Yellowstone spinoff, but besides that, they're like the Star Trek network, right? And it's no surprise that they're sort of leaning into it here. But I do wonder, we're seeing this with Star Wars right now in the Disney Plus series and stuff. Fans have always wanted much more content, and they're getting much more content, but how much might be too much? I feel like at some point the dam is going to break and people are going to be pulling away from this, and then what is Paramount Plus if it's not the Star Trek network, or I guess a couple reality shows, like Yellowstone spinoff, I think
South Park.
Those were fine words, Bill Meeks. In response, allow me to say
also, don't forget, Star Trek Discovery's next season will be its last, and Picard is done after this season. So they're also clearing room. That doesn't counter.
Nice try.
But just
technically, that might mean that there's lots of runway for many more awesome Star Trek properties. To which I reply,
Brian, I have one question before we move on.
Yep.
Would you commit to watching season 2 of Strange New Worlds for Spoilerin time?
To be honest, if you say it's worth it, I'll get all the way caught up. That's one that I've been meaning to binge, and I will do so if need be.
All right. Because we have June 15th. It's coming back. Trailers out for Wes Anderson's movie Asteroid City, starring Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Jason Schwartzman, Jeffrey Wright, Tilda Swinton, Edward Norton, Adrian Brody, and I'll just stop there. There's more. The story takes place in a fictional desert town in the United States in 1955. Scarlett Johansson as a movie star. Tom Hanks. Oh, all right. I forgot to mention Tom Hanks as an ornery grandfather, and Jason Schwartzman as a recent widower trying to get his car fixed. There's also an Alien. Limited run begins June 16th. Nationwide release June 23rd.
Real quick, Bryce, if you could go to a Diamond Club logo for just a second or something, because as you know, I sent to you secret inside footage of how this pitch went.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna click play on that tape right now.
Okay,
3, 2, 1, click play.
All right. Right. So, y'all want the perfect movie or not?
Okay.
Great. And
Click.
that's how babies are made.
Wow. Exclusive footage of the secret pitch for Asteroid City. Trailer didn't dissuade you of that.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? That trailer's so amazing. I sent it to my family text thread, and I said, Callie, you are 10. All of this will be nonsense. Good news, it is all nonsense. Everyone else, I suspect you will like this quite a bit.
I didn't like this trailer at all.
What?
I watched this and I thought, there's nothing is here for me. What a mess. What a mediocre mess from Wes Anderson.
Is there one vote against the perfect movie?
What a huge...
what? What are you, from Netflix?
Meeks, break the tie.
Oh, I'm super pumped about it. I also think it's interesting that, this seems to follow a trend we're seeing like on Apple TV Plus for like Welcome to Tomorrow, of like this retro futurism idea, or this sort of like retro sci-fi idea that seems to be kind of catching fire. Like I said, I think, even Nope to a degree had some aspect of this with the flashbacks and everything, and it was set out in the country. I do think it's interesting that after 2 years stuck inside, that we as a society are really sort of, looking to the stars again, and sort of trying to imagine a little more again. And it's really cool to see an indie darling like Wes Anderson sort of attack this subject matter.
I agree, Bill. Bryce, why do you hate the stars?
It just seemed boring. It just seemed like there was a lot of star power and a lot of stars.
Oh, wow, that's good. That was really good. To be honest, that is a fair criticism. Wes Anderson movies tend to be more of a vibe than a story, and
yeah. Well, and I didn't feel the vibe. It just turns out
that I really like this vibe.
Yeah. And it's very, very vibe dependent for sure.
Do you normally like or dislike Wes Anderson movies, Bryce?
I've liked the few that I've seen. I like the Royal Tenenbaums and all, but I'm not a diehard.
What about Wes Anderson adjacent movies like Jojo Rabbit. Did you dig that one?
I didn't see that, but I would like to.
Okay.
There we go.
Netflix has ordered an anime series based on the Scott Pilgrim graphic novels. The entire cast of that movie, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, has been cast to do the voices in the animation. That includes Michael Cera, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Satya Baba, Kieran Culkin, Anna Kendrick, Chris Evans. Need I go on? Aubrey Plaza, Jason Schwartzman, Ellen Wong. I'm not leaving out somebody like Tom Hanks this time. It's a heck of a cast. Brian Lee O'Malley, who created the Scott Pilgrim graphic novel series, will co-write and executive produce, and film director Edgar Wright is on board as an executive producer as well.
You know what? I'm going to turn around and I'm going to say, publish this in the New York Times tomorrow. Brian to Hollywood. Knock it off. We get it. Headline: Hollywood stars make Hollywood thing. Only all of the Hollywood stars make a Hollywood thing. Great.
Well, because the criticism here, if they did it without these people, would be like, well, it's not going to be as good as the original.
I mean, the original was technically a comic book, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, someone who's a big fan of the comic book before the movie ever came out, like, as much as I love the movie and I feel like it respected the spirit of the comic book, they cut a lot of stuff out of there. There's a lot of great character work that happens throughout the series that they just didn't have time for. So I think it's really cool that the same creative team is getting a chance to, go back and double dip and, make it a bit more like the comic book. My son is a huge fan of the comic book and he's excited about it too. It really helps after that whole bone thing from earlier.
We should do this more. We should do this more. Take movies and then make them into series or cartoons. Right? Mm-hmm. That would be great, right? A Hitchhiker's Guide, where you take all that movie cast and just make them an anime it was
a radio series to begin with. It's perfect for that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think there's something to this.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not.
No, I don't think he is.
For reals? Because I agree. I 100%
my Sardar issues, no.
Okay.
No, I'm into it, yeah.
Okay, good.
There's a lot of properties that became movies, 10, 15, 20 years ago because it made financial sense then. Now it might make more financial sense for them to do a 5-hour series. So hopefully we'll see more of this and, some more tightening up of stories that we've already seen adapted.
YouTube's free Coachella live streams will return with Coachella on the weekends of April 14th and April 21st. And they've doubled the number of live stream channels from 3 to 6. They're going to have all the stages. If you're curious, the music festival features headliners Bad Bunny, Blackpink, Frank Ocean, and Calvin Harris. But because they're doing all the stages, you can see everybody.
Tom.
Yes, Brian.
Are you excited about this?
We watch Coachella, as it is called, every year, and it's fun. We've been watching it. It's been YouTube's been doing it for like 15 years now, something like that. Yeah. So yes, I am excited. Why do you ask, Brian?
Mainly because Blackpink was in all caps in your summary.
Okay, that's how you properly spell it. I spelled it correctly. First off,
Bryce wrote this one.
Second of all, I respect capitalization rules. All capital Black, all capital Pink.
But yes, I am holding my Blink membership card.
Literally a card-carrying member. Literally a card-carrying member. Love it. I love it, Tom. I love that for you.
Yeah. Marvel released a trailer for the Secret Invasion series coming June 21st to Disney+. Bill Meeks, did you watch the trailer?
I did, and it looks really interesting. I mean, it's Samuel Jackson, and even when something he's in is bad, it's still pretty good because it's Samuel L. Jackson. Plus, this is one of those, I think it was like the mid-2000s series that everyone raved about back in the day. And so I think it's a really strong choice here. Like I said, I've been really liking the series that they've been doing anyway. So I'm really pumped for it.
We spoke earlier about how I'm on the fringes of my devotion to the MCU. If there is one thing that could bring me back, it would be, and I think it's all implied by the Skrulls being around. The Skrulls were, if you read old Marvel comics, were a stand-in for communists. And guess who the Skrulls fought? The Fantastic Four. So if I were Marvel, I would maybe lead with the Skrulls and then surprise everybody with the Fantastic Four, which would make one Brian Brushwood very happy.
It can make a lot of people very happy. And I was surprised how much I enjoyed this trailer. As by the numbers as it is, it just felt like old Marvel to me. I was like, oh yeah, this looks good. I wasn't that excited to watch the trailer, and then I watched the trailer and I was excited to watch Secret Invasion, which is what a trailer should do.
I've not yet seen it, Tom, but just answer the following questions. 3. Multiverses?
Nope. Not in the trailer.
Street brawls?
A modicum, not dominating.
It's a TV show. They're going to have a lot of street fights. For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
you know what?
The trailer isn't like covered in them.
Turns out, no. The street fights are the good ones. The multiverses are the bad ones. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I'm in. You've sold me.
All right.
I'm there.
Good. Warner Brothers released a Blue Beetle trailer coming August 18th. Who watched this trailer?
You know what's funny is I involuntarily watched half of it trying to log in just now on Twitch. They're pushing this very hard.
Yeah, I got a chance to watch it, and it looks really good. I remember when Blue Beetle, this version of Blue Beetle came out as a character right after Infinite Crisis in 52 in DC Comics lore. And it looks like it really respects the history of the character, because Blue Beetle started as a Golden Age character who was one guy. And then in the 80s, he was this guy named Ted Cord, who was sort of an inventor. And then it became Jaime Reyes that you see in the trailer for this. But it looks like they're going to be referencing like all 3 of those eras, but while at the same time, it looks like it's a really clean story, really focused on Jaime, with just a little bit of like legacy to keep it interesting and make it feel like a world that's developed, you know?
So kind of what they did with Ant-Man, where they have Hank Pym in there, but it's focused on the new Ant-Man.
But this particular property is still oh my God, what's his name?
Elseworlds?
Guardians.
James Gunn.
Yeah, James Gunn, thank you.
Yeah. But also being released way early under James Gunn's tutelage. This was originally going to be going straight to HBO Max, if I remember right. And then they decided to put it in theaters instead. And releasing the trailer this far out implies that the personnel running DC feel confident in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The counter argument would be that they're trying to burn it early, but if you're going to burn it, then you just don't release it. Like if you're investing in it.
Yeah, you underplay it. You don't make a big deal. You don't put advertisements on Twitch, right?
You don't make it like obnoxious for Brian to log into Twitch.
Yeah.
I want to say I've heard that James Gunn has said that if this does well, that there's potential for this version of Blue Beetle to continue on in the DC universe, because there's nothing in the movie right now really tying it to the old crew. So,
good to know.
If you like it, go out and see it.
Speaking of things you should see, let's get to Eyes On, what we've been watching. Bill Meeks, what have you had your eyes on?
Most recently, it's a fantastic, I don't know if you guys are fans of musicals. I find not a lot of people are. I am. And there's a really good one on Hulu called Up Here. It stars Mae Whitman and a dude from Cobra Kai. I forget the actor's name, but it's really just about this woman who decides to move to New York City.
If you look really close at the poster, it says, and a dude from Cobra Kai. So that's not on you.
He changed his name.
That is his legal name. No, but I believe someone who helped Lin-Manuel Miranda with Hamilton helped write the book for this. And all the songs are great. And if you don't like musicals, there's usually only 2 or 3 songs an episode. So you won't get put out. Plus, there's a really fun dynamic where both of the main characters have 3 people from their past who kind of sit on their shoulders and convince them to do or not do things in their lives. One's played by John Hodgman. It's hilarious.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Very cool. Brian, I understand you've taken in a movie at the theater.
Tom, you and I were hanging out a couple days ago.
We were.
Had a picnic. We'll talk about it in after talk.
Yeah.
I was rather fatigued after the whole experience.
Sure.
And I saw one of my favorite things on the planet, a new movie that had an over 90% Rotten Tomatoes score. And I didn't care what it was. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't see no trailers for it. I reached out to the family and said, who wants to go? And then I realized, and I saw the words Dungeons and Dragons. And I thought to myself, well, that must be a mistake, because there's no way that a Dungeons and Dragons movie is going to have over 90% positive ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. I watched it, and the only other time I can remember doing this was Back to the Future. I watched it with Josie, my 15-year-old daughter. Then we went and collected Bonnie and my 10-year-old daughter and went back and saw the very next showing. Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves is a very good movie, and it might be one of the tightest scripts I've ever seen. There is not a single unearned surprise. There's not a single dangling thread left at the end. Everything about this movie is tight, tight, tight. And then, after having watched it twice, the first time I enjoyed it, the second time I was just studying, why is this good? And then I made the mistake of like looking up what people were saying about it. And now I have to see it a third time, Tom, because I found out that our literal friends, the Auntie Donna boys, are in the best scene of the movie. And now I have to go back and watch it again tomorrow. I'm dragging Andrew Heaton. I'm dragging Justin Robert Young if I can get him. This movie is great.
So I'm guessing you didn't see the featurette about them recording their lines.
No.
Google that, because it's also very funny.
Okay, all right. I sure will. It's a great movie. If you don't have to know nothing about Dungeons and Dragons, but if you played a video game, if you've ever done any role playing games or whatever, the combat scenes are excellent. You can tell when they're giving a wink to, this is what a critical fail looks like. This is what a critical hit looks like.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. It's very respectful. I also found out that it's from the same guys that put out Game Night. If you watch Game Night, if you enjoy that pacing, you're gonna love the show. It's great. It's great. That's it.
Gambling Man says Auntie Donna are only in the Australian version of the film, not a US version.
Don't care. Don't care. It's great.
Well, that's just important for people out there to know if they're watching it and going, wait, where? I can't find them. So, if that's true, thank you, Gambling Man. I'm going to give a shout out to Bob's Burgers. I may have talked about it a dozen times on different Eyes-Ons over the years, but it's wonderful. It's always there for me. It's like
that's literally what I was about to say. It's always there for you.
Yeah, it's just a warm little dip in the pool. It's the thing that I used to watch it immediately after we were done with Cordkillers. I kind of end up watching it now on Tuesdays, even though it comes out on Sunday, because it doesn't come to Hulu until Monday. But it's never disappointing. It's always funny. I just love it. So if you've never checked out Bob's Burgers before, or if you've strayed away from Bob's Burgers, head on back and watch it. You can find the episodes, as I just mentioned, on Hulu. The other thing I want to point out is I mentioned Ginny's Kitchen on Amazon Prime Video a few weeks ago. I got on the plane to fly back from hanging out with Brian and realized a horrible thing. I had not downloaded it for offline viewing.
Oh, but you're a host then. I mean, what are you gonna do? You can't stream on that.
Having recently discussed on Cordkillers that I was able to stream a live concert on the plane, I thought, well, surely that was just a weird experience that time. So I went to watch Ginny's Kitchen on Amazon Prime Video over Wi-Fi. Worked great. Hung up like twice towards the end. Which I think happens with plain Wi-Fi as you kind of move from one cell to the other that's delivering your internet. But I couldn't even complain considering I was able to watch it. And I watched another show that I was like, well, I didn't download that one. I hadn't even thought about that. Let me try that. And that one worked too. I just find that stunning.
I've had text files buffer on a plane before, so that's impressive.
Yes, right? Yeah. All right, Bryce, what should we be on the lookout for?
Hey, I got a pick for you. This is an Apple TV Plus one. It's the Big Door Prize. It takes place in a quiet town, Deerfield. This is a fiction. And an arcade machine suddenly appears one night in the general store. It's called the Morpho machine. Folks go in, they put their hands on the thing, and you get a card telling you your life's potential. There's only about 3 episodes out right now. It's got this semi-anthology style. It changes perspectives across the different episodes. It's a little cartoony, but also I think that balances out the heaviness of it. There's some heavy topics going on here. Some the people passing and the midlife crises, early life crises, all sorts of things. So it's a bit of a balancing act. You kind of have to put up with just like weird arcade machine comes out of nowhere and let's try to fix your life. I think it's interesting. There's only 3 episodes out right now, but I think this is certainly an interesting Apple TV Plus. Any interest from the channel?
So the idea is that you get a card and it tells you should be doing this. And if you're not, then maybe you should change your life to reach its true potential, but that's risky. Is that do I have that right?
It's a little more ambiguous than that, right? They give you a card and it just says, father or teacher or healer. And it's kind of up to you to put life's potential together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, in terms of flavor or style, it's very, very different from Severance. But in terms of intensity, how would it rank to Severance? Because Severance starts off pretty playful and then goes places.
Well, I'm only 3 episodes in, so it's hard to give that full broadness of it. But it's a little. I would say it's lighter. It's lighter than Severance for sure. It reminded me actually a lot of the Machine of Death series. It's like a short story anthology, and it's the exact same thing, but it tells you how you're going to die instead of.
How is it compared to Mouse?
Hold it. Save. Who's tickling who?
Who's tickling who? There's 3 episodes streaming now. They're coming out on Wednesdays on Apple TV Plus. I think this is really interesting. I say check it out. If you got something we should be on the lookout for, please email us, cordkillers@gmail.com. Thank you. Brian's about to attack someone.
Oh, no, I'm just doing this stretch.
He's doing the thing.
Hey, man, eventually you guys need a new computer. You should head on over to doghousesystems.com/rogue. Spell it right, ROGUE. They're the ones who provided all of the systems that power this very fine show, and you can keep us in business and get a discount and an extra something extra by going to doghousesystems.com/rogue. Nailed it.
There's a big announcement this week, Brian, from Dog and Pony Show Audio. Big announcement this week. Know a Little More is now in Dog and Pony Show.
Well,
I've learned a little more. When does that start?
That's right. That starts on Thursday, April 6th with the RSS feed. Wait, what Dog and Pony Show related announcement were you thinking of, Brian?
Well, I was just going to kind of mention that Dog and Pony Show Audio finally allowed Brian to tell the whole world that World's Greatest Con Season 3 is all about Project Alpha. It is going to be amazing. Thank you very much for the trailer that was created by one Bill Meeks. Bill, this is a dang fine trailer for a dang fine podcast.
How would they hear it or see it?
April 10th. It's all coming. It's all happening.
It's on the Modern Rogue channel to see the trailer that we're talking about.
Trailer.
Yeah.
Bill Meeks, well done. Brian Brushwood, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was given great material. It was easy.
Go check it out. Get subscribed. World's Greatest Con. It's coming soon. Let's move on to the front lines.
Front lines.
Season 4's Succession premiere reached 2.3 million viewers. That's the right number. 2.3 million viewers on Sunday across cable and streaming, 33% more than the previous season high and 62% higher than season 3's premiere.
You know what's wild is we've been reporting on how well The Last of Us has been doing. If you told me that a video game television show adaptation was going to do better than Succession, I would have been blown away. Hooray Succession, but also like didn't The Last of Us end up with like 8 million plus viewers by the end?
Yeah. I don't remember the exact, but that sounds close enough to right for me to say yeah. For sure. So, it does kind of put that in perspective. But I also think it shows that these days, the longer a show runs, it's not the smaller the audience gets. It's the bigger the audience gets.
Yeah. Deadline says that Josh Friedman, who wrote for the Snowpiercer TV show and created Apple's Foundation series, is taking over writing for Marvel's Fantastic Four movie. Matt Sharman is directing. Wouldn't it be great if somehow Secret Invasion was the secret first Fantastic Four movie?
You got a TV writer involved? Bill, are we crazy?
No, I think there's probably a pretty good chance. I think, yeah. And basically, the person in charge of the movie is also the same person who did WandaVision. So I think, if there's going to be a big move like that, they'd probably give him the ability to do that since WandaVision was so well received,
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if like cable news just adopted this aesthetic of like just say things and everyone goes,
maybe, I don't know.
I think Bob might win the nomination. Roku laid off 200 employees. Well, that's not fun. About 6% of its staff last Thursday. The reduction is aimed at saving costs and goes along with ending some unused office leases, too. It's all cost reduction. Roku has been slowing revenue growth since the middle of last year, and former Amazon and Stitch Fix employee Dan Jetta is taking over as Roku's new CEO on May 1st.
allow us to be the first to have the hot take of Roku. That's not fun.
I was just clunkily transitioning us.
No, I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah. And also, he's CFO, not CEO. I didn't mean to fire Roku's CEO. He's doing a great job cutting costs. Why would he get fired?
YouTube TV is launching multi-view to let you watch 4 streams at once, presumably for sports. A new code in the latest iOS beta indicates that Apple may add the ability to watch 4 streams at the same time on the Apple TV app. This isn't the first time multi-view references have showed up in the iOS, but there are apparently a lot more than before.
You know what,
which
Ryan?
is fun.
Exactly. Thank you. A few other notes here. The Baby Shark movie's English voice cast is a family affair. Cardi B voicing Sharky B, her partner Offset playing Offshore, and her children Culture and Wave playing, you could probably guess it, Culture Sharky and Waves Shark.
I don't know, Tom. I don't know.
HBO's next season of House of the Dragons will have 8 instead of 10 episodes. Production's about to begin on season 2 for a likely summer 2024 premiere. 2024, you heard me right. When Netflix's Basic with Ads service launched last November, you couldn't watch it on the Apple TV app. Well, you can now. Version 2.30 of Netflix for Apple TV now supports the ads. Apple TV Plus has ordered an 8-episode series called The Savant, starring Jessica Chastain, tells the story of an investigator who infiltrates online hate groups to prevent violence. Hulu debuted a new interface that, among other things, moves the navigation to the vertical sidebar. So if that's why you left Hulu, go back. They moved it. And if you have the DirecTV Stream box, you can now get the Apple TV Plus app for the DirecTV Stream box. Both of you, go download it now.
Bill Hulu, as far as this Hulu line is extended, we've all been horizontally oriented. Are you meaning to tell me that you intend to go vertical with your menu?
All right, let's move to the dispatches from the front. Ander writes, Tom, Brian, and Bryce, I'm sure you've gotten many emails about the goods and bads of remaking old movies, but I'd like to share something I've learned from your show. I'll be brief. This podcast changed my mind on the idea of looking forwards towards upcoming projects with optimism instead of pessimism. I should hope that my favorite franchise gets as many at-bats as possible. If I love something, then I should hope for it to get more attention. Even if the remake is bad, it allows me to bring it up with friends and show them the version I fell in love with. And most importantly, later bad movies do not make the thing I love worse. This podcast actually changed my mind on that.
I'm already standing, so I'll stand on my tippy toes.
Lower your camera.
Thank you so much, Ander. It's a hard sell. Positivity is a hard sell. Like acknowledging, like, yeah, of course it's going to suck. The only thing that would be worse than this sucking is you not even enjoying the possibility that it could have been good. That really, really pleases me. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Best email I've read all week, Ander. Thank you so much. Very glad to hear that. And now, what I got wrong. On last week's show, I said EW Scripts bought Nuvio in January 2022 to offer an ATSC 3.0 compatible DVR called the Tableau Dual HDMI. That was a mischaracterization and also wrong. The original Verge article had said they bought Nuvio, a Canadian startup best known for the Tableau DVR, as part of a multi-billion-dollar bet on acquiring stations, networks, and spectrum for an ATSC 3.0 powered antenna TV future. So it was a mischaracterization that they bought Nuvio just for the DVR, and it was wrong that the Tableau Dual HDMI even supports ATSC 3.0. Laura, product manager at Nuvio, the makers of Tableau, very kindly pointed out the mistake. Thank you, Laura. She wrote, the Tableau Dual HDMI is not ATSC 3.0 compatible, nor can you load streaming apps on it. While it is available via Amazon and our web store, it is not available at Best Buy. We are working on an ATSC 3.0 compatible product, though, the Tableau ATSC 3.0 Quad HDMI. However, it is not yet available. Gave us a link, though, and we'll link that in the show notes. It is also worth noting that while ATSC 3.0 has been approved in Canada, there are no commercial rollouts of the standard in that country. Thank you again, Laura. We regret the error. I will never use ChatGPT to write the notes again.
Dear listeners, when you write to cordkillers@gmail.com, please know that in the heart of this show, what Tom deeply fears is being wrong about a thing. What I deeply fear is being told I'm not funny. So, cordkillers@gmail.com. That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody who responds. We love all of your feedback.
And it's worth mentioning, Laura did write in to say how funny Brian was. Bill Meeks, thank you so much for being with us. Let folks know where they can find more of what you got going on.
Definitely. I'm available on most social networks as @Bill Meeks. And I do have a new project coming up that I'd love to get your listeners involved in. It's called Everly Heights. It's a series of movies and TV pilots, all set in the same small town in Ohio, which is kind of based on where I grew up.
Nice.
I wrote them over a few years, and they've been sitting there on the web, and I've been revising them, and I just got some financing. So if you want to help out, go to billmeeks.com/Everly-Heights, sign up for the mailing list, and I'll let you know when we're going to get started on it and ways you can get paid to help me out and make this thing.
Do it.
Bill, I do believe that's the first time anybody has used a plug segment to say, would you like money? Reach out to me.
I'm a different breed, Brian Brushwood.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
But 10 years from now, we're going to be talking about, well, Meeks Enterprises no longer is giving the money. They've changed their strategy. Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We are live on twitch.tv/Night Attack, Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We'll talk to you next time.
Hey, Tom Merritt, what's going on?
I'm just hanging out here watching this scroll go by. What are you doing?
Trying to set up a bit where we thank our beautiful, beautiful patrons, all these wonderful names.
I'm sorry, I'm too distracted looking at these beautiful, beautiful patron names going by. Look at that one. I mean, if you wanted to be one of these people, patreon.com/cordkillers would be the place to go.
I mean, they're scratching our itch, like, because we're addicted.
As long as it's consensual, like,
we're addicted to their money.
And love. Might as well face it.
Well, God damn it.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.